All right, good morning, everybody. It is Friday, May 22nd at 6:05 a.m. I am heading out on a fishing excursion. See the jetty boat here. I'm in Port Aransas, Texas. This is Port Aransas Harbor here. Fisherman's Wharf is right around the corner where you pay for the boat. But jetty boat here, going to take me across to the north side. I'm packing light today. I'm not even bringing my ice chest. I'm just bringing a stringer, backpack full of gear, some lures, hooks, weights, whatever. Couple of rods, my long net, my extendable net, got my bucket. I've got some starter mullet, some frozen mullet from a previous trip, so I have something to start with. Got my cast net to catch more, small aerator, and my bucket here. Plan is to net some live mullet and use live mullet. They tend to be running kind of bigger right now on the North Jetty, like pony mullet, so they'll probably be better for things like jacks and sharks. But I realized after catching the last big jack, I don't have one printed on canvas. I have a whole bunch of fish printed on canvas. That 47-incher I caught out here recently on the North Jetty would have been a really good print, but I threw them back. I didn't think of it, but after the fact I did. So plan today, if I catch a crevalle, just keep them and print them. Maybe even a shark. I haven't printed a shark before. I don't generally like to catch or keep sharks. I'm not a huge fan. I've caught plenty, but haven't printed one, so that might be on the agenda if we catch one today. But again, all right, everybody. So this video here is going to be again, fishing on the North Jetty. The plan is to catch something I can print on canvas. We're boarding the jetty boat here. Again, this is out in Port Aransas. The North Jetty is on San Jose Island. There's no way to get there except for by boat. This jetty boat here in Port Aransas at Fisherman's Wharf, I believe the fee is 18 bucks. You get on the boat and it'll take you across. Obviously it'll bring you back if you're over there. There's only one way to get there, and that's by this boat. So you don't have to show your receipt coming back, but you gotta pay for the boat to get you right across. Now, as far as how often does this boat run back and forth? In the morning it starts running at 7 a.m. and it runs every single hour until noon. So it runs 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. It goes across, it gets there, it takes off on the hour, it gets there about 10 after, drops people off, picks people up and brings them back, all in kind of one trip here. After 12 o'clock, after lunchtime, around noon, then it's every 2 hours, 2, 4, and 6 p.m. If you miss the 6 p.m. boat coming back, you're going to stay the night on the jetty. Don't miss that 6 o'clock boat, right? So again, we're on the jetty boat here. It's out of Fisherman's Wharf. Again, I think it's about 18 bucks. We're leaving here. I'm going to kind of leave the journey intact. I'm going to assume some of you guys watching this may not have fished the North Jetty before. It's a pretty good place to fish. There's going to be a lot less fishermen over there. It's a little bit more trouble, a little more walking. You got to pay for the boat and take the boat across and all of that, but definitely worth it in my opinion to fish the North Jetty. We have a predominant south wind here. The North Jetty, it's much easier to fish the beach side, right? But we're leaving the inner harbor here, kind of picking up, getting ready to go and throttle out of the mouth of the harbor here into the main channel. Again, I'm going to leave the entire boat ride intact on the video here. I'll kind of fast forward it here a little bit, but I'm just kind of leaving this trip intact just so you guys can see. This is a pretty short boat ride. You're literally just going to basically cross the channel and you're there, right? So pretty short boat ride, less than 10 minutes. Board the boat. Again, we're going to take everybody across. This is a 7 a.m. This is the first boat going across. Used to start at 6. Doesn't start at 6 anymore. Now it starts at 7. But headed across, and again, I went a week prior to this and fished the North Jetty. There was plenty of live mullet. Through my net, caught some live mullet, and I caught a 47-inch jack crevalle, which is a pretty good jack. It's a pretty big jack. Let him go. I don't keep jacks for bait or anything like that. Didn't think of it later. I could have printed him on canvas. Gyotaku. I'm not even 100% how to pronounce it. Gooey taco is what I call it to my daughter. She gets a kick out of that, right? But had caught that jack and let it go. Kind of regretted not printing it. Would have made a really good print because it was a good sized jack. I tried to print, really big fish. So this trip was for that purpose. The goal is to try to catch a crevalle and try to print him. I don't normally keep crevalle. I don't normally keep sharks or anything like that. I was considering maybe printing a shark if I do catch a shark. I do catch a couple sharks in this video, but I didn't keep them and didn't bother trying to print them there, right? But pulled up here, the boat just kind of noses up to the dock here and just keeps the throttle on. Everybody just kind of unloads. I'm going to jump ahead of everybody here. Again, I packed kind of light. Normally I'd be bringing my ice chest with the wheels and all this other stuff like the rest of these guys. But my plan is to go pretty far down the jetty, so I'm kind of packing light and left the ice chest behind. I have a stringer in my bag. If I catch anything, the plan is put it on the stringer and just leave them in the water to keep them alive as long as possible till I head back. There's a jetty cart. I've destroyed many jetty carts. Those generic Walmart carts that you can buy, like that one you just saw off to the side there, those do not last out here. You're going to make one trip to the jetty, you're going to get halfway down the jetty, it's going to break, and you're going to leave it behind, and you're going to have to carry all your stuff by hand. See these gaps here? These are like crevasses in the snow and ice. You step in the wrong place there, you're going to kind of fall, your leg's going to go through a hole. That's where the jetties, where the dunes come up and butt up to the jetty there, and it just kind of flows over the top. So you got to kind of walk over the sand to get over that spot of the jetty. Ship channel on the right here. See them coming up on the beach on San Jose Island here. Shipping traffic coming in. This guy's going to the port of Corpus Christi. See all the piping on the ship. This is a Group 3 merchant. He's carrying some kind of liquid, not liquefied natural gas, but probably some other like petroleum products, things like that. Could be chemicals, but a couple places he could be going inside the in the bay here. Right, San Jose Island here on the left. A lot of beachgoers like to just go and kind of beach it up here. A lot less people here. No vehicle traffic. Usually quite a bit of trash here. Now, I kind of want to point this out real quick too. I'm talking in the video, but now I'm doing an audio overlay on the video, completely negating everything I said in the video. The reason for that is, and I've got the audio pulled way down on the actual video. The audio itself is, it was too windy, right? The wind is even louder than my voice, so most of what I'm saying you can't hear, and the whole video would just be wind blowing really hard. So I kind of just decided to move the volume down super duper low, and I'll just do an audio overlay here. All right, so I had some starter bait, like I said at the beginning of the video. I've got some mullet here. I got some little finger mullet. That was a 3-ounce weight I was pointing out. That's what I said 3 with my fingers for. Got a 3-ounce weight and a finger mullet. This was frozen bait I had in the freezer. This is kind of starter bait. Again, I did bring a cast net with me. I do plan to use live mullet, and I will get to that in this video. But this is upon arrival. I kind of just got here, pulled my dead frozen bait out, cut a couple of pieces, and I'm just going to get them out there and let them start soaking. Okay, and in the meantime, you see my cast net on the ground there. I'll fish this dead bait for a while. While these baits are sitting out here, I'm just kind of watching and looking for mullet. I know that there's tons of mullet in the water here. Problem is, on this day, the water is very dirty and you cannot see into the water. So even though there's probably mullet swimming around right in front of me off these rocks here, I can't see them in the water. I don't want to blind throw my cast net. That's never a good idea at the jetties. All you got to do is hang up on a rock one time, and then you can kiss that net goodbye. Right? So, again, we're using dead mullet here. This is out of the freezer, little finger mullet. Hooked onto something pretty quick. Almost immediately. Hooked something kind of smaller here, reeling in. I'm looking for an area to stand. You see all that green and dark stuff on the rocks? That stuff's very slippery. I'm trying not to bust my butt and slide off into the water and break my ankle all at the same time. Picking me a good spot to stand. You see the gap in the rocks here where I'm reeling this fish in between the gap? That's not an accident that I picked this spot. A lot of these spots, it's really hard. This is a hard head, obviously. It's really hard out here to, there's plenty of spots out here where it's hard to get, you can hook a fish and you get them up to the jetty. Now get them out of the water and onto the jetty. That can be the hard part, right? So I tend to find spots where there's gaps in the rocks, and I'll talk about that more later when it's on screen here. But got my hard head here. I'm basically just talking about the hard spines on the dorsal and the two pectoral fins. Those can stab you. Don't feel too good when they poke you. That is a little hard head there. He's got little whiskers, little barbels. Never eaten one. Everybody says they taste gross. I'll take everybody's word for it. Right? A lot of slime on the rag there. They're really, really slimy. I don't like to touch those guys. Normally I have a pair of hook outs. I just grab the hook, turn the hook upside down, and dump the fish right off the hook. And I don't even touch them. I didn't bring my hook outs on this trip, so I just kind of use a rag to grab them. That slime doesn't even rinse off your hands very well. Even when you put your hands in the water and rub your hands together, that slime's really hard to get off, so just kind of used a rag there. Right, so rebaited, put it back out. This whole video is, I basically just edited this. This is nothing but me catching fish. Now, some of these are hard heads, some of these are Gafftop. There's going to be a couple sharks. But I kind of left out a lot of the in-between stuff, and this is basically just me pulling fish in over and over here. So that was another hard head. I think a couple of the hard heads I caught, I even removed that footage, a couple of these hard heads. I just didn't want to have 1,000 hard heads one after another coming on the video here. So a couple of the hard heads I caught, I just kind of left those parts out of the video. I just left a few in here to show what I was catching. Right, but at this point I'm still using dead mullet. Again, I'm trying to stand in a location where when I bring these fish in, I can bring him right between the rocks and he'll kind of slip right through that gap there. He's really easy to get to. If it were a bigger fish, this is a Gafftop, right? This is not a hard head, this is a Gafftop. If you notice, the two pectorals have really long streamers, and so does the dorsal. The nose is a little blunter and more round. Those guys, a lot of people eat. A lot of people eat Gafftop. I'm not one of those people, but a lot of people do like to eat them. There is a minimum size and a bag limit on Gafftop. I honestly, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head because I don't keep them. I think it's 14 inches minimum. I can't remember what the bag limit is, if there is a bag. Maybe 5, I'm not 100%. Right, but that was a big dead pony mullet I just tossed out there. Again, I'm still using frozen dead mullet here. That's the only bait I took was mullet. But again, the point I was getting to a second ago before I started talking about the Gafftop was when I reel these fish in, I try to bring them between the gaps in the rocks here. I want them to get them into this pool kind of right down at my feet so that if I catch a bigger fish, I can get them in on this side of those rocks, and then I can use my net and just kind of scoop them out of the water. Unfortunately, I can't step out onto those rocks you see out in front of me there. All that green stuff is super duper slick, and I might as well just jump up and down on ice if I were going to do that. Right, another little hard head here. The hard heads are really, really, really digging the dead mullet, which is not uncommon. Mullet, squid, just about anything you can use, those hard heads are really, really going to like it. Right, so hooked another fish here. Again, so I can't remember where we're at. We're at 3 or 4 hard heads already and a Gafftop. This fish I've got now feels a little bit bigger. This does not feel like a hard head or a Gafftop. Feels like it's got a little bit of fight to it. He's actually swimming around a little bit more, giving me a little bit more of a hassle. If you notice on the hard heads and Gafftop, I basically just winched him in and just cranked him right in. This guy's going left to right, and he's kind of, I don't remember if he was taking line or not. I don't think he was actually taking line, but this fish is definitely giving me a little bit more of a fight, right? So I'm not expecting this to be a hard head. I'm standing where I'm at. I'm not following that fish down the jetty like I normally would, because if I walk down there where that fish is at, I'm going to have a hard time getting that fish up over those rocks and onto the jetty. So optimistically, I would like this fish to work his way back to the left so I can get him in this gap in the rocks. Unfortunately for me, that didn't happen. So now I'm kind of stuck. I just watched that. It's a shark. He just washed over the rocks and fell in a gap in between the rocks, which is kind of worst case scenario. So now I'm kind of stuck trying to figure out how am I going to get this shark out of here. I can't pull him out. He's too big to pull out of there. Walking out here is going to be pretty hazardous. I'm fully expecting that any second now my line's just going to rub against the rock and break, and I'm just going to lose this shark. But I'm going to try anyway. So I'm going to grab my net here, try to figure out where I can put my feet, where I'm not going to immediately eat crap. So nice and slow, just going to kind of ease my way out here. Keeping a little bit of tension on the shark. I'm trying to keep him from getting nose down in that crack. If he gets nose face down and he's kind of folded in half, I won't be able to get him back out of here. But he literally fell down in that gap there. Right, so I'm trying to keep a little bit of tension on him. I'm trying to go real easy. I'm trying not to pull too hard. This line is rubbing up and down the barnacles and all over these rocks here. I'm trying not to let the line break. I'm just waiting for the line to break. Right, shark's not really cooperating too much. I can't say I blame him. I probably wouldn't cooperate either. There he goes. He's kind of half in there, and got him. Got him. I got lucky on that one. I was fully expecting to lose that fish. Right, so I'm already looking at him. Obviously, it's a little shark here. I'm already trying to figure out what he is. Right, so first things first, get my hook out of him here. I'm looking at the fins. I'm looking at the pectorals and all of the fins, and I don't see black tips on any of the fins. So it's not a black tip. It's not a spinner. They would have black on a lot of the tips of the fins. The second dorsal has a little bit of black on it, but that's it. Right? Not sure what this shark is. I'm about to measure him here. But again, I'm still kind of wondering what he is. He's not a black tip. He's not a spinner. It's possible it's a silky, but those aren't normally kind of inshore like this. They're usually further offshore. He's right at 34. 34 inches. So he's legal, but I'm not 100% what type of shark this is. I'm not a big fan of sharks anyway, so I'm basically just going to let this guy go. But it's not a tiger. It's not a bull. It's not a spinner. It's not a black tip. It's not a... it's not a lot of different things. Most of the common things I would think of. My best guess is going to be either an Atlantic sharpnose, which I feel like his nose should have been narrower. He had kind of a blunt nose if it were a sharp nose. I feel like he should have been a little skinnier, and they normally have white spots here and there, kind of random. That shark did not have any white spots, and his nose didn't seem narrow enough to be an Atlantic sharpnose, but that is still my best guess for what that was. Possible it was a silky, but I would lean more toward Atlantic sharpnose. So I saw the mullet here. The sun's overhead. I can kind of see a lot better in the water, and I can actually see the mullet swimming around. See, I pulled the net out, got me one throw, and basically going to fill my bait bucket up with live mullet here. These guys aren't very small. They're probably right about the right size. They're not tiny finger mullet, but they're not quite big pony mullet yet. They're somewhere in between finger mullet and pony mullet. That refers to the size, if you don't know. Finger mullet are the little ones. Pony mullet are the medium-sized ones, maybe up to about 6 inches or so. Then you have horse mullet, or when they get really big, and they're like 12 inches or so. Right, but these are kind of what I would probably call pony mullet. So got my bucket, dumped all the crap out of it, gave it a quick rinse, put some good salt water in there, got my little bubbler ready to go. So I'm going to dump these guys in the bucket, put my lid on so they can't jump out and fall back in the water. And now I got some live bait, and I am ready to get after it, right? So best case scenario is to use live bait here. The hard heads are much, much less likely to keep attacking my bait if I'm using something live. All right, so grab one of these guys out. These are striped mullet. I know in Florida they have lots of different types of mullet. Mountain mullet, striped mullet. There's probably 5 or 6 different types. I think we only really have one type of mullet out here, and that's striped mullet. And we don't eat them. They're not really considered edible. So this live mullet here, I'm going to put the hook in one eye and out the other eye. Now, I went above his eyes, but I went through the eye socket. So I didn't stab him through his eyeballs. He can still see, but I went through the eye socket and through the bone that is between the eyes, so that kind of keeps him on my hook here. There's a nice live bait. Got me a little 3-ounce pyramid weight. That should be enough to kind of hold him in place. I've got the setup is basically a weight at the bottom and then a snapper drop loop tied, a few inches above the weight with a hook on that loop. All right, so it's a pretty good throw through that way out there. Now the rocks out here on this jetty, out in front of me, obviously you can see the rocks go out about 15 feet, but underwater, that was a good fish there. You see the line start peeling out of the reel. Something kind of gave me a good little run there. Right, so anytime you're reeling in out here at the jetties, those rocks that you can see kind of end, but underwater, those 5-ton granite blocks continue out underwater. Now on this north jetty, on this beach side that I'm fishing on, not the channel, but here on the beach, on the second half of the jetty further down, these rocks only extend out away from the jetty maybe 20 yards. So it's really easy to cast beyond the rocks. And where I threw my bait, it's sitting out there in the sand. Okay. Problem is when you start reeling it in, especially when you got a fish fighting, as you bring it to you, your weight and your bait and your fish and everything's going to run into the rocks trying to get it in. Right. So anytime you're reeling in, even if your line is empty, you're just reeling it in to reset. You want to hold that rod tip up really high and try to keep your stuff out of the rocks and reel really fast to pull your weight and your gear basically straight to the surface. And then you kind of reel it in on the surface so it doesn't hang up in the rocks. Problem with a fish on like I've got now is that fish is going to go where he wants to go. I'm going to try to turn his head and control him as much as I can. But he's going to have a lot more say about where he goes. Right. But again, I'm trying to stay in one spot. I kind of want to bring him in that gap right in front of me here. That's not going to be the wisest decision. You'll see why here in a minute. Again, I want to bring him in this gap. Unfortunately, at the moment, again, this was a really good run. So it's a bigger fish. I don't think I knew what it was yet at this time. I just know I've got a pretty good fish on. Could be a jack, could be a shark, could be just about anything. But as he's fighting back and forth, and now I'm getting a look, it's definitely a shark. The problem is that rock right in front of me, he's moving back and forth, and my line keeps touching that rock. And I don't like that. I probably shouldn't be standing where I'm standing. I probably should have moved to the left or to the right and let that fish fight it out and wear himself out, and then move to this location once the fish was tired and just winch him into this little pool, into this gap in the rocks here. But problem with standing still is that fish can run, especially if he can take line. He's going to kind of go where he wants, and you could end up in a situation with that last shark where he ends up in between the gap of the rocks, which is definitely not good. Right? So again, fighting this guy, see him right there, right outside that rock. He goes down. Again, that line is basically rubbing that rock. I'm not really liking it a whole lot. But again, the fish is already getting tired. I'm just trying to get him in inside this gap. I'm just waiting for him to give up so I can just pull him in here and net him. Like if I can land him. Not sure what he is. I don't like that there. Now this is a little bit better shark than the other one I had recently caught, that I just caught. I'm debating while I'm catching it, do I want to keep this shark? Do I want to take it home and try to print it on canvas? And that's kind of the decision I make while I'm fighting this shark here. The plan was to print something. So this is a legal fish. I can tell already he's legal. I believe the minimum size is 24 inches for shark around here. But that's look up the regs. But only certain species can you keep. Atlantic sharpnose, bonnet head, black tip. There's a very short list of sharks that you can keep that have to be a minimum of 24 inches. And then pretty much everything else, every other shark is either a prohibited species or it has to be like 60 inches minimum and you're only allowed one per vessel. Of course, I'm not on a vessel, but the minimum size still stands, right? So if you want to keep a shark that's smaller like this one, it needs to be one of about 5 species. Now, again, this could be an Atlantic sharpnose. Atlantic sharpnose does fall into that group. But I'm not 100%. I don't see any, just like the other one. This one's a little bit bigger than that other shark I caught. But again, I don't see the white spots I would expect to see on a sharpnose. Right? Normally there'd be kind of little white blotches on them, kind of here and there. There'd be 2 or 3 little white blotches on them. They tend to be really skinny. Really long, narrow nose. That guy was kind of hooked in the pectoral fin there. So that was him going after my bait, and he ended up snagging himself while he was trying to like make turns and trying to get a hold of my bait. Ended up hooking himself in the fin there. But again, just like before, I'm not 100% what type of shark this is. I think it's a sharp nose, but I am not absolutely certain, right? So I'm still guessing. I'm still trying to decide whether to try to print this guy, because ultimately I got to kill him to print him, and I don't really like to eat him. There's 41 inches. If I bend the tail down, he's right at 42. Definitely legal. But again, I'm not 100%. I don't really need a shark printed that bad. He's kind of small. I've caught sharks in the hundreds of pounds. This is not impressive in any stretch of the word. So I basically just decide I don't really want to eat him. I don't want to kill him just to print him. So I think I'm going to let him go, right? So trying to just heave him out there. Right there, I kind of was afraid he would land on the rock. I'm trying not to hurt the shark. I'm trying to clear the rocks with him and get him out there far enough without me slipping and busting my butt here. So good heave ho, good little throw, made it out, let him go. All right, so that's 2 sharks down, several hardheads, and a couple of Gafftop. But again, we're fishing live bait now, so I have better hopes. I have higher hopes of catching something better. Let me word it like that. Right, the dead bait, I'm just going to keep catching a lot of hardheads and Gafftop and crapfish I don't really want. The live bait is really what's going to get me, like crevalle and redfish and sharks and things of that nature. Plus with a live bait. With a dead bait, little perch and other things are going to come and kind of tear it up. If you look here on the video, the line is broken. That loop broke right at the knot, and the hook just slid right off the line. So that entire setup's basically shot. I got to cut the whole thing off and retie a whole new rig. Right, but did that, put it back out there. Water depth out here, I'm about maybe 3/4 of the way down the jetty. The water depth out there where I'm casting is maybe 20 feet deep. Most of this jetty on the beach side is 15 to 20 feet. It's about 25 at the very, very end on the beach side. A lot of it, about halfway down the jetty, it's probably 13 to 15 feet deep. So most of this is not very deep. But another Gafftop here. This one's a little bigger. If I were the type of person that liked to eat Gafftop, that would have probably been a good one to keep. But I'm letting these guys go. I'm not keeping any of these Gafftop.
Could be a shark or something. It's not like a stingray. Very active, swimming around.
Now notice that it's these live mullet. Those little hardheads can't really get these big giant mullet in their mouth. So even though I'm still catching some Gafftop, I've got another Gafftop here. But you notice these are quite a bit bigger. They kind of have to be able to eat that giant live mullet. There's another Gafftop. Again, if I were out here looking for Gafftop, I'd be in pretty good shape.
Pretty good take there. See if I can get him out of the rocks here. Got a little weight to it. Hope this is recording.
Again, we're coming up to the end of the video here. So I guess I can go ahead and say I never got my crevalle, and I did not get anything to print. Unfortunately, this trip I went home empty-handed, which is fine. I could have kept those Gafftop. I could have kept the sharks, or at least one of the sharks. They're just not on my not something I really like to eat. So, and I've caught plenty, so I just kind of let everything go, and we'll just try another day to get something worth printing, right? But another Gafftop here, pretty good size. He's as big as my foot. My size 12 shoe there, look a little bit smaller than that Gafftop, pretty good size. And this is going to be my last fish of the day here. Shortly after this, I had to make the walk back to the dock to catch the ferry. It takes at least 30 minutes just to walk back to the dock, so I got to kind of stop a little early. I got to pack everything back up and hump it all back down the jetty to the boat here. Of course, last catch of the day, hardhead. What a crappy fish to end the day on. But I would say overall it was a good day. I did catch a lot of fish. There was some stuff worth keeping. I just didn't want to keep it. But good trip to the North Jetty. If you guys ever want to get somewhere away from the crowd, give it a try sometime.